Ladies and gentlemen, that time has come again for my Sky Bet Championship 2025-2026 predictions. Now, may I just say, I'm not going to get these right. If I do offend your club, don't leave any nasty comments because I spent a long time researching in today's video, certainly 2 hours. So I really enjoy doing this video because you've got to spend a lot of research. Last season, when I did, I just had a quick look at my predictions last season. I got one of the 3 relegated sides correct, and I also got 4 of the top 6 correct. So in terms of, the top 6, very, very good. The bottom 3, not too great. But, the main table and the main thing in this video is that we just have a laugh and we just have a prediction, really. Make sure you put in your comments down below. Of course, the season does start tomorrow. We've got Birmingham v Ipswich. What a game, by the way, to kick off Sky Bet Championship action. Hopefully a few goals in that. And obviously, we've got the weekend games as well. So, yeah, absolutely buzzing for this weekend. Should be good. But, yeah, like I said, I'm going to do from 24th to 1st. It's going to be probably a 30 to 35, maybe even 40-minute video. So if you do enjoy or do appreciate how long I've taken to do this video, then please give a like, comment, subscribe. But yeah, let's get into my table predictions. So in bottom place, finishing 24th, rock bottom. I really wanted to try and be different, but it's really hard not to go for Sheffield Wednesday. Now, Sheffield Wednesday obviously finished mid-table last season. I believe they finished 11th in the end. A really good season, considering what happened the prior season, just surviving. They did really well last season, got a few very good results as well. And, things looked on the up. And then, of course, this summer has just been absolute turmoil. Danny Roll has left the club. He has been talking to so many clubs trying to get him move away from Sheffield Wednesday. But he's only just now gone from a mutual consent. Their new manager, Henrik Peterson, was Danny Roll's second man, so at least they have a manager in charge who has been at Sheffield Wednesday before, so not bringing someone totally new into the chaos. In terms of their signings then, they've not signed a single first team player, and they've lost a lot of players. 14, if I can recall, 14 first team players gone. Now, the list of these players who have gone, of course, we've got Gassama, who's actually doing really well at Rangers at the moment, and then the other first team players who have gone are Akin Fameu, Josh Windass, who's gone to Wrexham, Callum Patterson, Malik Welks, Paul Valentina, Michael Smith, Michael Aikwa, Anthony Musaba and Stuart Armstrong. Now, of course, a few of them may have left this summer, but of course, when you're losing a lot of these players, these fringe-ish players need to be staying. Now, in terms of their free, players who you can look out for this season, I'm going to do this for every single club, their 3 key players. There's obviously Barry Bannon, that he's a club legend at Sheffield Wednesday. It's great to see him, sticking by Sheffield Wednesday in the bad times, so he's a phenomenal player. I'm going to go for P.S. Charles as well. The young goalkeeper had, a bit of a run in goals towards the end of the season due to Beadle's poor form. He did do okay, but, that Stoke mistake wasn't the best, was it? And I've gone for Ike Ukbo. Now, you may be thinking, why on earth have I picked him now? There's a limited amount of options. Jamal Lowe, we all know what he's about, but Ike Ukbo last season, really poor. Not a single goal for a striker. The season prior to that, he did really well for Sheffield Wednesday. Bought him on a permanent, and he's turned into Bambi on ice. But no luck. Sheffield Wednesday, wish all their fans the best. If you do go down this season, I hope you do get a takeover soon, because Sheffield Wednesday have been there multiple times. Fantastic club and fantastic supporters as well. In 23rd position then, this is sort of the bottom 3. Of course, you've got Sheffield Wednesday, but the bottom 3, so hard to predict. Now, I've gone for the new boys, Charlton Athletic. Now, it's a bit of bias because of my hatred for Nathan Jones. So Charlton fans, take that. That's my reasoning. No, look, Nathan Jones is a great manager, but look, I have been quite impressed with Charlton's business this summer. They've signed Charlie Kellerman, of course, a little bit risky. He's only had 1 really good goal scoring season, which was in League One. But of course, they have bought him for a decent amount of goals. A decent amount of a fee, and obviously scored 21 goals last season. They bought Rob Apter from Blackpool. He looks quite a promising player. Harvey Nibbs, I think, is a really good deal for Charlton. And if they are to go down, they'll have him in League One, which is even better for them. They've also got Tunde Olafeu, Thomas Kaminski, of course, from Luton Town. Of course, another Luton Town player, Reece Burks, of course, Nathan Jones using his Luton Town connections there. In terms of their outgoings then, they've only really lost 1 proper good player, and that's Thierry Small. He's gone to fellow Championship side Preston North End on a free transfer. They have spent, quite a bit of money, Charlton. I think they're in the top 6 at the moment for money spent on signing, so they're definitely going for it. Of course, there was a big saga in the summer about Nathan Jones, him potentially moving to Cardiff. Only reason he wanted to stay is if you give me a new contract and you back me in the transfer window, and you can't say Charlton have not done that. So it's all on Nathan Jones now to get the best out of these players. Now, in terms of their best three players then, I'd go for Lloyd Jones. I'm not the biggest League One advocate, but, he seems a decent player. Connor Coventry, I know him a bit from his time at West Ham before. He's a very good player. And I've gone with Kane Ramsey as well. But yeah, Nathan Jones averaging his most points per game in his career, which just shows how phenomenal of a job he's doing at the moment. So technically, Nathan Jones is in his prime now. Look, he is a little bit of a bell, because he supports Cardiff, and every time he plays us, he does fist bumps. Now, I'm not sure many people are aware, but when Luton played Swansea a couple of years ago, both teams were mid-table. They beat us on 1-0 on the midweek. Everyone's walking out the stadium. Just if you like, wait. I have a look. Nathan Jones in the bloody stands. Oh, God, I hate that, man. But look, Charlton, I really want you to stay up. But it's going to be very hard. Now, look, all three teams last season stayed up, coming up from League One. Can Charlton do it? They definitely can. But in my prediction, I think they're just not going to have enough quality. In 22nd then, the last team in my prediction to get relegated. It's a surprising one. I've got the Queen's Park Rangers. So 2 London clubs in my prediction will be making the drop to the 3rd tier of English football. Now, it's such a hard one. Look, a lot of people have gone for Oxford United, Preston. I just think that's kind of lazy if you just look at the budget, stuff like that. But QPR, look, it's a weird one, isn't it? Martin Cifuentes was technically employed, technically not employed. He was on garden leave for the last 2 games. He did officially leave then. Obviously, he's gone to Leicester now, which, he's done a very good job to get a Leicester job. I think he's a good manager, but to get a Leicester job, not sure about that. Now, in terms of the incomings, Queen Parku, look, on paper, he's going to be amazing, but can he hit the ground running? That's the question mark. So we've also got Keely Anderson, and Kyriako Dembele has rejoined the club on a permanent deal after his loan spell last season, and Roman Bernal has also joined. Now, they've obviously lost Charlie Kellman. I say loss, he never really played too much for QPR, and obviously he was on loan at Leyton Orient last season, so they've gained a good amount of money on him. Kenneth Paul and Morgan Fox are both left as well. Now, the new manager then, Julian Stefan, he's had a really good career over in France. He got Rennes, their first trophy in 48 years in 2019, and also got them to 3rd in Ligue 1. So you can't deny his job over in France has been phenomenal, what he did there. But yeah, he also helped develop players like Rafinha, Eduardo Camavinga, and Jeremy Doku when they were at Rennes as well. So look, I know everything I've said there is so positive, but Championship, it's a league like no other. It takes no prisoners. It's just immense. And in terms of their 3 key players, I've got for Jimmy Dunn. Look, I think he's now the new club captain of QPR. I've always really liked Jimmy Dunn. I think he's going to be a phenomenal player again this season. Jonathan Varane, of course, successful season last season. I've gone for Elias Chair. Now, Elias Chair is so frustrating. Last season, I kind of let him off his poor form. He had an ongoing court case over in Belgium where he allegedly assaulted a lorry driver. Obviously, I think that whole court thing's finished now. Well, hopefully for his sake, because he needs to focus on his footballing career. But look, I've got the QPR. It's so tough. You could pick anyone. I just feel like QPR have been, slowly dropping down over the last few years. And again, another managerial change. And I do worry a slight bit about where the goals are going to come from. Now, I know they've got Queen Parku, Dembele, but those players, Parku's coming into a new league. And up front, I do worry because they do have a lot of inconsistent strikers amongst their ranks. Now the bottom 3's out of the way, time just to get on to the 21st of 7th where no one's going to give me grief. So in 21st place, I have gone for Stoke City. Now, Stoke was so close in my predictions to going down. I was like a millimetre away from putting Stoke 22nd and QPR 21st. But I gone for Stoke just to stay up. And the really simple reason is Victor Johansson. Now, he was being slightly moved, being linked with a move to West Ham, but obviously they could be getting John from Brazil, what a name, and probably Matt Johansson, he's been heavily linked as well. In terms of their incomings then, they have bought Maxim Talarov from Plymouth Argyle, £2 million, or €2 million, I should say. All the fees in this video will be euros, just because of the site I use. So if I do say £2 million, it's not €2 million, €2 million, but it's just, easier to roll off the tongue. Aaron Cresswell's coming from West Ham United, sensible signing, free agent, a lot of experience. They've also brought in Robert Bosniak as well. Not a great goal-scoring record for him over in Portugal. But I do believe when he has played for his national team, especially in the Euros, I thought he was a very big handful, especially in a 4-4-2 system. Sober Thomas, I think that's a sensible signing. Championship experience, very good in set pieces. And they've also got 2 young loanies in Jamie Donnelly from Tottenham Hotspur and Divin Mubama from Manchester City, who was a former West Ham youth prospect. So, since they're incoming, a few youngsters there, a few, senior pros in terms of a championship level, and obviously Aaron Cresswell. Now, in terms of their 3 key players, obviously, I'd be silly not to go for Victor Johansson, fantastic goalkeeper. arguably one of the best in the league. Obviously, I've gone for John Ho Bae, the South Korean winger. Now, again, very inconsistent, but, on his day, very, very good player, very skillful as well. I've gone for Lewis Baker. Now, Lewis Baker was, on loan at Blackburn for the first half of last season, got recalled by Mark Robbins in January, and then scored from the halfway line against Swansea City. Always scores against us, Lewis Baker, and Josh Lauren for some reason. But obviously, he now plays for Burnley, I believe. Anyway, Lewis Baker, I feel like he's a very experienced player now, good at championship level. Now, again, in terms of outgoings, they've lost Wouter Berger. I think that's a huge loss, huge presence in that midfield. They've lost a youngster called Sidibe, but, I don't think it's a big loss in terms of, first team football. He's gone to PSV's under 21 squad or under 23 squad. Lyndon Gooch, Niall Ennis, John Thompson, 3 fringe players all leaving the club as well. Now, in terms of the last few seasons then, Stoke's position, from the 21-22 season, they finished 14th. The next season, 16th. The next season, 17th. And last season, 18th. So Stoke are slowly but surely edging closer to relegation. Now, as much as like Mark Robbins, Stoke is such a difficult job now. It took them a while to get some results at Stoke, got some results, but again, on the final day, they weren't out there. Could have gone down if results didn't go their way. So yeah, Stoke, I've gone for 21st. In 20th position then, I've probably gone for everyone's favourites to go down. I've gone for Oxford United. I actually predicted Oxford to finish above the relegation zone last season. I think I predicted them to finish 18th in the end. I'm not too sure where they did finish. Obviously, they did survive, and they didn't even have any, relegation chances on the final day. They were already safe by there. I think it's just very lazy analysis from a lot of people. Obviously, people like me, we're not doing this full time. It's just a hobby, essentially. But I just find it really lazy. People just say, oh, Oxford are going down, smallest stadium, smallest budget, they're going down, not very good squad. It's just very lazy. And I feel like Oxford United's incoming, some very, decent signs on paper. They've brought in Brian, the Accusemaker. He's got some very good reviews abroad. Brody Spencer, Will Lancashire on loan as well. They've also brought in Nick Prelic on loan as well. Now, in terms of the outgoings, then they lost Ruben Rodriguez. Did okay. I don't think he's a very good player at this level. I think it's just a step above him. Idris El Mizuno, who's also left, and Josh McEachran, the former Swans player, has also left the club. Now, in terms of their key players, I think Michael Heelick, what a signing he's been. I think he joined in January. I was so surprised no one bought him in the previous window in the summer of the last season. He's been very impressive for them. Cameron Brannigan, look, such a good option for Oxford United to have. That free kick he scored to basically send Cardiff down. He has got a thing in my heart for the rest of his life. So thanks for that one. I've got Tyler Goodrum. Look, Oxford United, in terms of their front three options, they've not got many consistent goal scorers. Obviously, Mark Harris is there. They've also got fellow Welshman, I can't remember his name, Tom Bradshaw. Again, these are players who can occupy a few goals, but they're not going to get you the 15-20 goals most clubs want in this division. Now, in terms of their home form last season, they only lost 7 out of their 23. So 14 games, of 14 out of 23, they were unbeaten at home. And I think that is going to be key for Oxford United if they want to stay up again this season. And with Gary Rowett's experience, I think they're very capable of doing that. In 19th position, we have gone for another relegation favourite in most people's predictions, Hull City. Now, Hull, considering their transfer embargo where they can't sign players on a permanent fee or sign players on a sign-and-on fee, they're doing very good business. Considering their restrictions, they're doing well. Now, not at the time of recording, but McBurney is set to sign for Hull. I assume he's going to sign, so that's a very good signing for Hull, considering some of the other Championship clubs like Swansea and Sheffield United who wanted him. According to reports then, Hull have offered the most wages, so obviously he was going to go to Hull. In terms of their other incomings then, they've got Gustavo Puerta, who also rejoins. I think he was on loan there last season. I think it was like a loan obligation to buy, but anyway, he is incoming. Enis Destam has joined, and Semi Ajayi. I think Ajayi, again, maybe his legs have gone now, but I still think he's a threat, especially from attacking set pieces. Akin Famewu has joined. John Lundstrom, of course, has come in from Turkey, but of course we all know him from his time at Sheffield United. McBurney, like I said. Joel Ndala has come in on loan from Man City. So look, considering their restrictions, I think there's some smart business there. In terms of their outgoings then, they have lost some key players from last season. Stephen Elzate, Sean McLaughlin, Joe Pedro, who, I remember last season scored away to Bristol City. Was it 45 seconds, 2 seconds later, gets a straight red card. Proper Brexit there. Alfie Jones, that's a big loss for them. Did well for Hull last season. No, they spent nothing essentially, of course. The new manager then, Sergei Jakrovic, I hope I've pronounced that right, is known for being experienced and playing attacking football. So on paper, he looks a good, but I still think Hull should never have got rid of Rosenior a few years ago. But Hull, I think they'll have an okay season. In 18th then, I've gone for another favourite for relegation in most people's predictions, Preston North End. Now, Preston's transfer business then, they've done okay, to be fair. Odulaka Ofea, I hope that's pronounced right, probably not. He's come in for €1.6 million. Daniel Iverson, of course, did very well on loan at Preston a few seasons ago. He's coming on a free transfer after his contract expired at Leicester City. Jordan Thompson's also come in, and Thierry Small, like I mentioned, has left Charlton to join Preston. Andrea Vukovic has also joined. Paul Valentine, Michael Smith, both of those come from Sheffield Wednesday on free transfers with their ongoing stuff, and Daniel Jemison on loan. Now, I think that Jemison signing is terrible. I think he's a rubbish footballer at this level. He's awful at Watford, but I guess it's just an extra body up front. Now, in terms of their outgoings then, they have lost some very key players who played a lot of games last season. Ryan Ledson, Freddie Woodman, who's got a fantastic move as Liverpool's third-choice goalkeeper, and Emil Rees. Now, I was surprised about Emil Rees, of course. A couple of seasons ago, he had that fantastic goal-scoring record at Championship. I think he scored over 15 goals. I think he had a really bad injury and just hasn't really recovered, but he's been smashing in pre-season at Bristol City. Now, the Warriors signed for Preston in terms of their form last season. In their last 13 competitive fixtures last season, they only won one of those. They lost 16 games, won 15 and drew 20 under Paul Heckingbottom. So they've actually lost more games than winning under Heckingbottom, and I've actually drew the most. So in terms of the three metrics, win, loss, draw, win is bottom. Now I know it's only by one, but I've got to get the dramatic senses into the video. In terms of their three key players then, I've gone for Robbie Brady, very experienced. Obviously used to be up and down that left-hand side as a winger, but obviously, his pace has kind of gone because he's more of a wing-back these days. I've gone for Osmajic as well, the striker. Controversial figure, to say the least, but, he is a handful. And Brad Potts, I I still remember his goal away to Luton all those years ago. What a finish it was, but I still think he's reliable as ever when injury-free. But yeah, Preston, I just don't think they're ever going to get relegated from the Championship again. In 17th position then, they finished 7th last season, and I've gone for Blackburn Rovers. Now, I'm expecting a bit of a drop-off from Blackburn, to be honest. I've not been too impressed with their business. Some of the players they've lost are very key players indeed, and I'm not a huge fan of Vladimir Ismail as well. In terms of the incomings then, Sydney Tavares has come in for €2 million. Sean McLaughlin's come in from Hull City. Ryan Albacete has come in, Lewis Miller and Dion DeNeve. Now, I'm not going to pretend I know the majority of them, but the big outgoing for them has been Tyrese Dolan. Very, very key figure for them last season. He's gone over to Spain. Andreas Weimann again, he's gone. There's 14 goals of their 53 last season gone. And I think Dolan contributed the most assists for Blackburn, so that's a huge loss in terms of numbers up front. Now, they've also lost Joe Rankin Castillo. He's gone to Charlton Athletic. Callum Britton's gone to Middlesbrough for £3 million. So yeah, some of the players are losing, man. And, of course they are replacing these players, but a lot of the players they have brought in are from abroad. So again, there's always that risk there. In terms of their, key players, I've gone for Sondre Tronstad. I think he's a good player. Lewis Travers plays a lot of fouls. I think he's got. I've got for Makdar Gay. Him and the Japanese striker, I can't remember his name top of my tongue, so I do apologise for that, Blackburn fans. But I think they're integrating each other in terms of strikers. One can play 1 week, the other can come in off the bench. I think they've got a decent front there. Now, in terms of their last 6 Championship games, they went unbeaten in all of them, so they had a good end to the season. But let's not forget the dreadful start Ishmael had. I think he didn't win in his first 6 or 7 games. I think they lost the first 5, so it was a really poor run. They have spent nearly €5 million, so they've definitely have splashed the cash this summer and sold nearly €1 million pounds worth of players. I said euros, pounds, my head's gone already. But yeah, Ishmael's, it's his third time at Championship level. Of course, he's had previous jobs at Barnsley where he got sacked, West Brom where he did dreadful at. And he's now at Blackburn, so I'm expecting a little bit of a poor season from Blackburn Rovers. In 16th position then, it's a bit harsh, but I've gone for Portsmouth. Now, Portsmouth did very, very well last season. There were reports that they had the smallest budget in the league. Not too sure how factual correct that is, but they definitely had one of the smallest. And a mental fact is that John Mousinho, excluding the newly promoted and relegated sides, is the current longest serving manager in the Championship. How bloody mental is that? But in terms of the incoming sense, it's not been, too busy at Fratton Park. They brought in Mark Kozlowski for €1.38 million. Surprised I've pronounced that perfectly. The reason why is because he was linked with Swansea, but I think that was agent talk. In terms of their free transfers, then John Swift has come in on a free transfer. I think that's really good business. They've also brought in Luke Leroux and Adrian Sekrovic. I'm not going to pretend I know those players, but they brought them in anyway. In terms of their outgoings, then. Of course, by the way, they've brought in Florian Bianchini, who I've said in the previous video I expect from him to do, but it's an option up front. Can't believe I nearly forgot about Bianchini there. In terms of their outgoings, then they've lost Paddy Lane, Kohan Bramall, and Kusni Yenji. Now, just fringe players. I don't think it's going to be a huge loss of Portsmouth now. The key players then, Josh Murphy. What a season he had last season. Him and his brother, of course, Jacob Murphy at Newcastle. Wow. Josh Murphy, 7 goals, 14 assists in his first season back at the Championship level. Wow, what a season. Colby Bishop, of course, a bit of a delayed start to the season for him. I think he had a heart condition. I think he is injured again at the moment. But he did really well when he played. I've gone for Marlon Pack. It was a bit hard to pick the third player, but Pack played a lot of games last season. Very experienced, complete central defensive midfielder who can slot into the back. In terms of their last 9 home games last season, they only lost one of their last 9 home games. So very, very good form at home towards the end of the season. And like I said, John Mousinho's only been there, 2 to 3 years now, and he's one of the longest serving managers of the Championship. Just shows that how hard it is to predict the table. In 15th then, I've gone for Bristol City. Again, I'm predicting a little bit of a drop-off from last season. They did sneak into the playoffs on the final day. Obviously played Sheffield United, got battered, but it was all about the experience for them. In terms of their incomings then, Adam Randall has come in from Plymouth Argyle, Emil Rees has come in from Preston North End, Ratik Vitek from Manchester United on loan, it's strengthening their goalkeeping options. The Japanese player they had last year, Urakwa, I know I've butchered that, we'll call him Yu, he's rejoined the club after a successful launch. But I've also brought in Joe Lumley, so definitely strengthening their goalkeeping position in there. In terms of outgoings then, they've lost 2 key players, I'd say. Carl Naismith, not so much key, but of course was part of the squad. And Naki Wells, who did really well last season. Both of those have joined Luton Town. Now, they have spent between £1 and £3 million, not actually disclosed what they've spent. But yeah, the main thing for Bristol City this summer is they have lost Liam Manning to Norwich City, which is a huge blow. In terms of their new manager, then Gerhard Struber has had managerial experience at the side before with Barnsley. We did manage to keep him up in COVID times where they did actually beat Brentford on the final day, who ended up getting to the playoffs, which again was a tremendous result. In terms of their 3 key players then, Scott Twine, again, in and out the side last season, but we all know how good of a player Scott Twine can be, and definitely is a very creative player. Max Bird, very, very good scenes for him last season, was one of their better players. I go for Luke McNally. Now, I know McNally had an injury against Swansea. He hasn't touched the pitch since, but when he is going to be fit, I think he will be key, and hopefully for Bristol City's sake, he gets back fully fit. But yeah, 15th Bristol City, like I said, it's very hard this sort of bit of the table. These sorts of teams can finish anywhere, but I'm expecting a bit of a drop-off from Bristol City. In 14th then, I've gone for Derby County. Now, Derby are a team who I'm expecting to do probably a bit better than this, really. In terms of their incomings then, they've brought in Patrick Agyman from the MLS, €6.9 million, so a lot of money on a player who hasn't got the greatest reviews over in America. Ryan Brewster, I'm surprised they've managed to get him into the Derby County. He's joined on a free transfer from Sheffield United, very good signing. Andreas Weimann, Danny Bath, both joined from Blackburn Rovers. Of course, they both know the manager very well. Carlton Morris has come in from Luton Town. And also, in terms of their loan signings, some very good loan signings. Bobby Clark, Owen Beck, and David Ozo, who was on loan at Derby last season but didn't see the pitch too many times due to an injury. The only key player to leave is probably Nathaniel Mendes-Lang, who's gone to League 2 MK Dons. So yeah, very, very impressed with their business. They've only spent a fee on 1 player, which was Agyman. The rest have either been loans or free transfers. So yeah, very impressed with Derby County at this level. They are a big club at this level. Let's not try and forget what they've done previously. But yeah, they've got some very good players. And yeah, I haven't even put a key player for Derby. I think the key person here is John Eustace. Of course, Derby could do a lot better than this, but I just feel like away from home, they haven't got the greatest. But at home at Pride Park, tough place to go. In 13th then, I've gone for Swansea City, but I'm toxic, but I'm negative. No, I'm a realist. Now, we had a really good start to the transfer market, and it's just slowly but surely died. My excitement for this season is just completely fumbled, essentially. We've in terms of signings in for Swansea, if I can find my notes, which I've seemed to have lost, we've brought in Zidane Anusa, who, for €6 million, you're expecting good things. We've also brought in Ethan Galbraith from Leyton Orient, Cameron Burgess from Ipswich Town, which again looked a really good signing. I've not been very impressed with him so far in pre-season. Ricardo Santos, and yesterday we signed Keelan Casey from West Ham. So 3 centre-backs there. Now in terms of outgoings then, Harry Darling, look, it's a huge loss, but Cameron Burgess, fingers crossed, can fill the void. Mikola Kukarovic, now I think it must have been his only fan. Obviously he's left on a permanent transfer, so in terms of the wage, that's good. Jerry Yates has also left the club. Again, another permanent transfer, and Bianchini's gone to Portsmouth. Now, Alan Sheehan's record in charge of us was 7 wins, 3 draws, 3 losses, and he is the 3rd youngest manager at this level. So we do need to give Sheehan a bit of time. I know I'm not the huge fan of Sheehan, but I do have to remember he's very young. But again, to have such exciting things happen to Swansea in terms of the board members coming in and the worldwide audience at the moment, to have someone as inexperienced as Sheehan, I think it could prove costly in terms of promotion push. Now, in terms of key players, I think everyone will agree that Gonzalo Franco is key to our season this year. Bengabango, who we've not seen in pre-season at the moment, injured, but is captain and can lead on the pitch. And I've also gone for Josh Tymon. Now, defensively, I've got my questions about Tymon, but last season, you can't deny how good of a season Tymon had in the attacking third. I got for 13th Swansea. I don't think we're going to go down. I don't think we're going to push top 6. It could range from 10th to 17th, in my opinion, but let me know, Swans fans, what you think. In 12th position then, bang mid-table, we've gone for Ryan Mason's West Bromwich Albion. Now, they have spent a couple of big fees so far. They brought in Une Hegbo for €5.5 million, and Nathaniel Phillips from Liverpool, €3.5 million, and George Campbell has come in as well. In terms of the outgoings then, they have lost Grady Diangana. They bought him for a lot of money, but, every single season he's just kind of, downgraded. They've also lost Semi Ajayi, he's gone to Hull City, and John Swift to Portsmouth. So the 3 players they have lost, 2 of them have found new clubs. I don't think Diangana's got a new club at the moment. There's not much turnover there. Not many players brought in, not many players lost. So, still very, core of the squad still there. Mason then, 2nd youngest manager, and it's his first ever managerial job. I know he's had some caretaker spells since Tottenham, but this is his first big challenge. I do worry about the goalkeepers. You look at the goalkeeper situation at West Brom. They've got Wildsmith and Griffiths. I don't think either of them are cut out to be championship goalkeepers. I know Griffiths is young. Wildsmith, I don't know why they signed him. He is the next David Button. They've had some really poor goalkeepers since Ben Foster left. Obviously, Alex Palmer went to Ipswich. So, yeah, that's why I've got West Brom 12th. I think they're going to ship too many goals this season. In terms of scoring, I think they've got enough firepower there. Josh Madger, when he's fit. Paul Darrell, DK Man, injured again. They just need to cut his losses. Callan Grant, and of course, the 3 key players then. I have gone for Josh Madger, like I just said. Tom Fellows, surprised he's still there. There's a bit of interest at the moment from Southampton. And I've gone for Tionbion Laiskea Heckham. I'll just say Heckham. What season he had last season. I think he can play left back or left centre back unit. And I think, he's very reliable. I should just say Heckham from now on. But yeah, look, West Brom, again, another team who could definitely get into the playoffs if all things go their way. In 11th then, I've gone for Watford. Now, Watford are such a difficult team to predict because I don't know what manager is going to be there at the end of the season. In terms of their incomings then, Nestre Irankundu for €3 million from Bayern Munich. Don't know too much about him. The thing about Watford's business I'm going to read out, I don't know half these players. They've all come from overseas. Off-main Mama for €1.3 million. Free transfers of Mark Bowler and Nathan Baxter. And also from Peterborough United, Hector Kipricanu. I think he actually does about Watford. I think that's a very, very good signing. Vivaldo Semedo and Luca Kurgard have both come in, of course, from Udinese, the sister club. In terms of the outgoings, then they've lost João Ferreira for €3 million, Mileta Rajovic, Francisco Sirialta has left, Ryan Porteous has gone to the MLS. So yeah, they've lost some defenders there. In terms of their new manager then, Paulo Pazzolino, or Pazzolano. He has managed in Uruguay, Brazil and Spain. But the key fact for me, he has won 3 promotions in his time as a manager. So definitely knows how to get out of a second tier team, a second tier league. In terms of their key players then, I've gone for Selvik, the goalkeeper. I've been very, very impressed with him since he's coming in January. Georgi Chekavadze, very good player, very technically good on the ball, very good in the eye as well. I've got Imran Louza. Now, I know there was talk of him potentially moving. I'm not sure if he handed in a transfer request or what. That's got a bit quiet. So, at the moment, it looks like he'll be staying at Watford. And, look, I know he got banned against Swansea because he spat at one of our players, which obviously is not great. But, like, on the pitch, good player. 10th position, then I've gone for Middlesbrough. Now, I always seem to predict Middlesbrough to finish in the top 6. And the one time I predict them to finish outside the top 6, they're guaranteed to get into the top 6. Now, there's an income in Abdoulaye Kante. Not sure if that's any relation to N'Golo Kante, but he's a young player coming in from France. Alfie Jones from Hull City. Callum Britton, 2 established championship players there. They're very good signings, I believe. Anyway, they've lost Josh Colburn, but they've sold him for €6.4 million, which probably equates to about £5 million. So, yeah, it's tremendous money for Middlesbrough there. Jonathan Howson has left Middlesbrough after several years at the club. Dick Steele's also left. Hayden Hackney is still at Middlesbrough. There was talk about him moving to Ipswich for £20 million. Fee got agreed, but Hackney just couldn't agree personal terms of Ipswich. So, you know, if he does stay at this beyond this window, tremendous for Middlesbrough, as he is absolutely phenomenal. In terms of another key player in midfield, Finn Azaz, again, really good player, really good fee they got him from Aston Villa as well. Tommy Conway, I think he really impressed me last season. Obviously, Latte left in the summer transfer window. He actually did play the first couple of games, played against Swansea, scored a penalty in the opening day. But yeah, Conway came in, did really well, scored against Bristol City, did a really calm it down celebration, did lose that game in the end. But look, my main reservation for Middlesbrough this season is just Rob Edwards. I'm not a huge fan of him. Technically got back-to-back relegations. I know he did leave Luton before they got relegated, but was probably one of the reasons they went down. But yeah, Rob Edwards at Luton, got them promoted. But yeah, just got them relegated as well, twice. In 9th place then, I've gone Wrexham. I didn't really want to say that very loud because it really annoys me, but I've gone Wrexham in 9th. Now, look, as much as I criticised Wrexham earlier on in the window for their lack of business, they definitely proved me wrong. Lewis O'Brien, still fuming, he's gone there. What a player, €3.5 million apparently. Roberto Cassis, or Cassis, I'm not too sure how to pronounce that, but he's come in for a good fee as well. Now, some more experienced players I will be able to know. Connor Cody, very good signing, I think, especially if they play a back three this season. Kiefer Moore, look, as much as you want to say Kiefer Moore, how he cost Sheffield United promotion in that playoff final, I think he's a very, very, dangerous player if you play to his strengths. You see it with Wales when we play to his strengths, he's a handful. The thing about Kiefer Moore, especially when he plays for Wales, the European refs, a touch on the shoulder. The Championship's a lot more, physical, strong. And I think if he can stay fit, it'll be good. George Thompson or Tom Mason has come in. I think it's Thompson. Not sure. Ryan Hardy's come in. Danny Ward, my word, less said about him the better. Josh Windass, some very sensible signs there. And I don't think Wrexham are done, but time of recording, that's all they've done. Now, in terms of losing players, it's just a bunch of fringe players, really like Stephen Fletcher, players who aren't cutting out at championship level anymore. They do have the oldest manager in the league, Phil Parkinson. He did manage against Swansea in that Carabao Cup final. Obviously, I've got the scarf there, not the correct scarf, but I do have the scarf somewhere in my house. In terms of their key players then, Oliver Rathbone, I think he's phenomenal. Really got a roll over him. I think he has got a bit of an injury. I think he suffered an injury when they went on their tour of Australia. Lewis O'Brien, I know he's only just now come in, but he's going to be so good. Wrexham fans are going to love him. And I've gone for Connor Cody as well. I think his experience at Premier League level will come in handy. He did play a lot of games for Leicester last season. Now, they are in the top 5 for spending, so you do expect Wrexham to do quite well this season. I think if Wrexham finish in the top 12, it's a very good season. If they finish like 16th, 17th, it's an okay season. And if they fight for relegation, it's been a bit of a disaster, really. I'm expecting big things from Wrexham. I don't think they're quite there yet to get the top 6. And, I do have my reservations about Phil Parkinson. If he can get the best out of the squad. He has been there since July 2021, and he has won 136 games and only lost 41. But considering they had the best budget in the majority of those leagues, apart from last season where Birmingham obviously had the best, you do expect that, but still, it's a phenomenal record. I've gone for Wrexham in 9th. In 8th place then, again, another team I always put in the playoffs. We got there last season. I've gone for Coventry. I've not been very impressed with Coventry's business at all. Now, there is talks of the day I'm recording, they're trying to sign a Hull centre-back, but that got rejected, and they're probably they're going to have to break their transfer record fee to get him from Hull. Now, in terms of incomings then, not too much at all. Kane Casler-Hayden has come in from Aston Villa on a permanent deal. He was phenomenal at Preston North End on loan. Miguel Angel has also come in, and Carl Rushworth. Now, really impressed with Carl Rushworth. What a signing. I know how good he is at Championship goalkeeper. Did have one or two mistakes, but still very, very good. Now, only outgoing really is Lewis Binks. Bit of a shame he's left. I thought he was a good player, and I think he was reportedly their highest earner, as we saw in our video. Now, they have spent near up towards £4 million, sold 3 players. Like I said, Binks is the only, big one there. Only 3 incoming, so similar with West Brom, really, not a huge turnover. In terms of their key players, Bobby Thomas, I think he's an absolute threat from set pieces. I was doing a couple of bet builders last season. Bobby Thomas, 2 shots. Easy money. Matt Grimes, again, don't really want to speak too highly of him, but we all know he's a very good player. I've gone for Mason Clark as well. Very good player. Considering how inconsistent Wright and Haji Wright and Ellis Sims were, couldn't think of his name there. I think Clark had a really good season last year. And I've gone for Haji Wright as well. I know he has his hamstring problems, and he has got his problems attitude-wise, but I think he's a phenomenal player. Now, the last 4 seasons have finished 12th, 5th, 9th and 5th, so they're definitely in and around that playoff area, but I think they're going to finish 8th this time around. In 7th position, I've gone for Millwall. Been very impressed with Millwall's transfer business. Josh Coburn has come in for a big fee, but the style of play Millwall will play, I think he'll probably turn out to be a good signing. Luongo has come in from Ipswich Town on free transfer. Alfie Doughty from Luton Town, very good signing. I believe he is actually a Millwall fan from the reports I've seen. So, yeah, to get a Millwall fan in, Millwall fans will love that. Creatively, he's outstanding. And former Swans goalkeeper Stephen Bender has joined the club on loan from Fulham. Bit of a shame what's happened to Stephen Bender. He left Swansea at a time where he was getting consistent game time, was still quite young in terms of goalkeeper. He wanted to move to Fulham. Don't blame him. Premier League money, get a live in London. What else could you want? And again, just hadn't seen the pitch of Fulham, which we'd expect. But hopefully at Millwall he does well. I know Millwall have a couple of goalkeepers who will be fighting for competition with. Zach Sturge is also coming on loan. Now, they've lost George Saville, Aaron Conley, George Honeyman. 3 players who, have all participated in some aspect into the Millwall over the last few seasons, but 3 players they won't really miss. In terms of their key players, most of these are defensively. Tanganga, Jay Cooper, really steady partnership there. Jay Cooper with his height from set pieces. Tanganga, of course, has got that release clause for Premier League clubs, but no one's really been interested in terms of Premier League interest. There was a team abroad who wanted Tanganga for, I think it was about £3 million. Millwall rejected it. Simple. That's good business for them. I've gone for Mihailo Ivanovic. Really good season last season. 12 goals, only 20 years old. And again, Millwall have got a really good player there. Now, Alex Neil is averaging his best points per game since 2014-2015, where he was manager of Hamilton Academicals. So definitely doing his best, spell at the moment. It's probably since his Norwich days. So yeah, I really like Alex Neil. They spent over £7 million reportedly as well, so they definitely splashed the cash. And yeah, Millwall approving upon you. In 6th place, I've gone for playoff finalists, Sheffield United. Now, in terms of their incomings then, Dijbril Sumara on loan has come in, done too much about him. Ike Uwaki has come in, and Michal Polendakov. Really sorry about the pronunciations. The last 2 signings are coming from Bulgaria. Now, in terms of the outgoings, by the way, I've signed Louis Barry as well, which I think is a good sign-in. Outgoings then, they've lost some very, very key players. Vinny Souza, €15 million has gone. Anel Hamahojevic has gone for €6.9 million. Really surprised he's left. Got really late in terms of preparations. Was participating in Sheffield United friendlies. Kiefer Moore obviously gone to Wrexham. Ryan Bruce has left for Derby County. So yeah, they've only brought in about £2.5 million worth of players. They've sold nearly £25 million worth of players. So yeah, some definite big losses there. And I just think when you sell such key players like that, what sort of effects it's going to have on the squad? And I do have my doubts about Ruben Sellers as well. Now, I know he's a very highly rated manager. I thought Hull, did he do that good of a job considering the resources they had? And Chris Wilder got 90 points last season, technically 92 points, because they had a 2-point deduction. Really, really hard to sack him. I know the style of play wasn't good, but he was getting results, man. He was a Sheffield United man, got the group. I think it's a big risk there to get rid of him. Mike Cooper, very key player. I've also gone for Tyler Bindon as well. I forgot to mention him. He's joined in from Nottingham Forest on loan. Harrison Burrows and Gus Hamer. Gus Hamer is key for me for them to finish in the playoffs. If they get rid of Gus Hamer, I can't see him finishing top 6. Sellers, like I said, I got my doubts. I think they'll still have a decent season, but I think it'll just be 6 for them. 5th place then, I've gone for my first of 3 relegation sides from the Premier League. I've gone for Leicester City. Now, Leicester haven't spent any money so far this summer. Only signing is Asmir Bekovic, who will be coming in as a backup goalkeeper. In terms of their outgoings then, again, they haven't lost too many key players. Connor Cody, of course, has gone, but would he have been a starter this season? Not too sure. They've lost 2 backup goalkeepers in Iverson and Ward. Vardy has obviously left the club, and Ndidi is also set to leave the club as well. Not officially confirmed at the moment, but it looks like he will be heading out the door. So again, they've still got the likes of Wout Faes, Bilal El Kounos, who, by the way, is going to be a player to watch this season. If you don't know who El Kounos is, wow, he's a player, and he's only young as well. Abdel Fattah, do you see the goal he scored against Fiorentina the other day? He's going to run riots this season if he's going to be free, if he's going to be injury-free. Joe Neu, now, I'm not sure if he will stay. Obviously, he'll be on a big wage, but, 33 years old, he'll know where the back of the net is. I think he could be a very good player. Of course, Hermansen's still there at the moment. Yeah. Now, the reason I've gone Leicester in 5th, why not 3rd, 2nd, 1st, is they are set to get a points deduction according to Sky Sports reports last month. They are set to get up to 9-point deduction, so maybe 6, maybe 9 points, but they're definitely going to get a big point deduction due to a break in financial fair play rules. Now, Martin Cifuentes came in over the last few weeks. I think he's a good manager, someone who knows the league, someone who can get the best out of, a talented group of players, especially in attackingly. At QPR didn't have the greatest of squads, and I thought he did a really good job there. So yeah, Leicester 5th, just due to the fact their points deduction. But again, I haven't really signed many players, but a lot of their team are really good quality. 4th then, I've gone for a big risk with this one. I've gone for a team who finished below Swansea last season. I've gone for Norwich City. Now, Norwich, wow, they've spent big this summer. They've brought in Matthias Kisgarden, €8 million. Papa Amadou, who has come in. Papa Amadou Diallo, for €5 million. Miko Topic has come in for €3.5 million. Clayton Kovacic for €2.5 million. Jeffin Makima. Wow, it just keeps going. Of course, in terms of their free transfers then, they've also brought in Harry Darling. Of course, we all know. They've also brought in Jeffrey Schlupp from Crystal Palace. They just don't stop, Norwich, do they? In terms of their outgoings then, of course, they've lost Bohas Signs, big loss. I believe he was the top scorer in the Championship Division last season, €13.5 million. Angus Gunn's left the club. I think he's gone to Forest as a backup keeper there. Jacob Sorensen, Onel Hernandez, probably better off the field on TikTok than he is on the field. So yeah, 11 signings. They're spending big this summer. They've spent, I think they've spent the most in terms of transfers. They've definitely got some of the biggest in terms of outgoings as well. I think they're in the top 3 for outgoings. So yeah, Manning did a really good job at Bristol City last season, so there's definitely a big task for him this year with the calibre of players they've got. Josh Sargent, who I've not even mentioned. Yeah, I think Norwich will be up there this season. 3rd place, the big one. I've gone for recently relegated Ipswich Town. Now, I've seen people will say Ipswich will walk this league, and on paper, I think they have got the best squad in the league. But I just think the other 2 teams will have more momentum. I know that sounds stupid with one of the teams having one of the worst points of all time, but I just feel like with a new manager, fresh ideas. Now, McKenna's a great manager, don't get me wrong, and they've spent, again, big money. Brought in Azu Matasuwa for €11.5 million. Ashley Young's coming on a free transfer. Cedric Kipre has come in on loan. Now, they've lost Liam Delap, but they've got a huge fee for him, so it's great business for them. Axel Twanzebe, Cameron Burgess, Luongo have left on free transfers. Now, the key players, Leif Davis, believe he is not going to be available for Friday night's game against Birmingham, which is a big shame. Last time he was in the Championship, got 18 assists. Defensively, they got Greaves and O'Shea, fantastic. Sammy Smollock's last time he was in the Championship, got the golden boot with Blackburn Rovers. Amari Hutchinson had a fee rejected for him by Ipswich from Nottingham Forest, so he's still technically there. Jack Clark, he's been fantastic at this level. So yeah, they've spent over £11 million, but they've received over £34 million in transfer fees. So yeah, they've definitely recouped some of that money. They've got such a young squad in terms of young talent, and it's harsh not to put them in the top 2. They did really well last time, getting back-to-back promotions, obviously some relegation last season. I just think that hangover could catch up to them, and, you know, it depends really if some of their players can stay injury-free. It's a big risk I'm taking not putting Ipswich in the top two, but yeah, I've gone Ipswich third. In second place then, just won League One, and I think they're going to get promoted. I've gone Birmingham City. Now, if we did this video 6-7 weeks ago, I think I had Birmingham, I was thinking Birmingham mid-table. I just didn't see the hype. But I've looked into Birmingham and I see the hype. In terms of their incomings then, Kyogo Furiashi from Rennes, £10 million. Alphonse Samsted, Bright to say Samuel, who was a winger at QPR but has now translated into a fullback. He's good. Damari Gray back to his boyhood club. And Phil Newman has come in. Loading deals with Tommy Doyle. He played over 20 games last season. He's brilliant at this level. Aaron Cashin, James Beadle. Not sure about the Beadle signing, if I'm honest. Obviously, still young, but he does tend to make a lot of mistakes. But at least you haven't got Bailey Peacock Farrell, because he is stinking. In terms of their outgoings then, the only player who really contributed to anything last season, Alfie May, again, don't think he's ready for this level. That's a good sign for Huddersfield. Quality players like Jay Stansfield, people call him Penn Merchant. I'll probably go on along with that, just for the fact that, you know, if we do beat Birmingham or we lose to Birmingham, I'll just say Stanfield penalties or something like that. Christoph Clara, really good player, really like him. And I've gone for Bielik. Now, I know Bielik's been at Birmingham for a few years now, but I just really like Bielik. Now, Chris Davis' first season at this level, but last season, they went unbeaten at home. Now, I know people say Birmingham, they spent this and that, and they got this player on XYZ. You've got to beat what was in front of you. And they didn't lose a single game at home. I think that's very good. Now, they have spent around about 12 million so far, but they have also made nearly 9 million in sales as well. So, yeah, they've recouped well. They've signed well. St Andrews are going to be a bloody fortress this year. Even when Birmingham were, you know, suffering with relegation battles, no one wanted to go Birmingham. It's a tough place to go. And, yeah, I just feel like they'll finish above Ipswich just due to the fact that Ipswich a few seasons ago had that bounce, didn't they? They got from League One and they had that bounce for the Championship. And I think Birmingham will just have that bounce, which will, you know, do it. But that Friday game, by the way, is going to be a hell of a game. And the team to win the 2025-2026 Sky Bet Championship table is Southampton. Now, probably boring, but look, Damien Downs has come in, £8 million a striker. Like, do you need any more strikers, lads? You've got the best front line in the Championship. Joshua Korshi coming in for 3.5 million. So, again, a couple of Bundesliga players there. They've lost Kamaldeen Sulmana. You know, the amount of money they got for him, considering he didn't do great, 17 million. Jan Benrek finally left the club. I thought, you know, a bit of a shame to lose him, but they got good money for him. Samuel Amu Amaya has left for 7 million. Paul Anuchu, the flipping big man, he is huge. He's left for a big fee. And Ramsdale gone on loan to Newcastle, but they're paying a big sign-on loan fee for him. And Carl Walker-Peters left the club on a free transfer. Now, they have spent nearly 12 million, but they've also sold over 30 million. So again, people saying, oh, they're spending big. Yeah, but they're selling big, so why can't they spend big? So, yeah, Will Still, youngest manager in the Championship, 32. I'm expecting big things from all the memes on Twitter about Will Still and his age and, you know, his club getting fines and stuff like that. But yeah, he has been coaching since October 2017, so as young as he is, he knows what it's about. Now, some of the players I'm going to list off as key players: Ryan Manning, Flynn Downs, Shea Charles, Mateus Fernandes. Can someone buy him, please? Don't fancy playing him twice this season. Tyler Dibling, don't fancy playing him. He ran riot against us in the FA Cup. Just shows the level, really. Southampton, one of the worst teams of all time in the Premier League, come up against a mid-table Championship team in the FA Cup, and they just battered us 3-0 casually. Like, Adam Armstrong, Cameron Archer. Do I need to carry on? I still haven't mentioned a few other players, but look, I just think Southampton will have too much for every other team. Now, I think they will lose games. You know, those games against Ipswich, Birmingham, Leicester, Sheffield United will be very good to watch. But, yeah, we saw last time Southampton's quality in the Championship. I think they went, 23, 24 games unbeaten under Martin at one stage of the season. They beat Leeds on the final day, beat West Brom over the playoffs, beat Leeds again in the playoff final. I just think they'll have too much quality for everyone else. Now, that is it for my table predictions. If you did enjoy, please do leave a like, comment, subscribe. As you can see by the length of this video, it's a long one. I've done my research, but I tried to. Hopefully, I've said enough about your team in terms of the fact that you know I've done my research. Now, just to recap, my bottom three, in bottom I've gone Sheffield Wednesday, I've gone 23rd Charlton, and 22nd I've gone for QPR. So a little bit of a risk with QPR and Charlton. And so into my top six, I've gone Sheffield United 6th, 5th I've gone for Leicester, 4th Norwich, 3rd Ipswich, 2nd Birmingham, and Southampton champions. Let me know your predictions down below. I wish everyone a successful season, bar Wrexham, because they're Welsh. And Ryan Reynolds and Snoop Dogg. But yeah, hopefully you enjoyed. Catch you all later. And yeah, can't wait for the championship to start and for me to have a rest because I've been speaking for far too long. But look, just to recap, it's a prediction video. Don't take it too harshly. Someone else, some other YouTuber will have you somewhere else. Thanks for watching. Catch you all in the next one.
Thank you.